Hernandez. I'm from upstate New York, and I'm working in La Ceiba, Honduras, in the PreMed program as part of a broader view. I've been here from the 21st of December through the 31st, in between semesters. The project here takes place at the Hernandez hospital and also at the local public clinic. So the support from a broader view and the coordination in La Ceiba has been really good, especially considering that, as far as I can tell, the coordinator, Hernandez, handles all of the local logistics, and so it goes really smoothly. There were no major delays, and we had kind of amazing access to all of the institutions here. The most surprising thing about the program, I think for me, has been the amount of access, as I was saying, that we enjoyed to the facilities. My expectations as far as like what I would see, what I would be able to observe, what I'd be able to assist with, were certainly met and exceeded often. I was also very surprised by the fact that most of the volunteers aren't actually functional in Spanish, so you can get by even if you're not perfectly fluent in Spanish. At the accommodation, the most surprising thing, actually weren't too many surprises there. It was really comfortable for me. It was like home for me. The food was great. The host family was great. It reminded me of where I grew up in Houston. My host family, I was watching a pet parrot, so that was a little bit surprising. Let's see, about the country, what was the most surprising thing about the country? One thing I wasn't expecting from talking to a lot of people in Honduras is this sense that things are the way that they are here because of the people. Sort of this self-critical sense that they don't value education enough and don't try hard enough to get ahead. So I wasn't expecting to hear that sentiment, but I did often. The most difficult thing to experience, part of the pre-med experience, I think, was the different standards of sanitation, especially at the clinic, in the ER. Things are super clean in the operating rooms, and they're pretty clean in the maternity area, the childbirth area. But things in the ER and the clinic sometimes get a little gnarly, so that was hard to watch. There isn't very good running water at the clinic, so it doesn't take long for things to get a little bit messy. And there's not always gloves available, so very basic stuff that you expect to always be there isn't always there. The most difficult thing to experience at the accommodation was great. There wasn't any difficult thing there. Let's see. Another difficult thing to experience or to be part of is that the ER doesn't have a dedicated ER doctor. So when things get really busy there, sometimes it gets pretty hectic, and that can be a little uncomfortable. So tips for future volunteers. As far as clothing, it's going to be hot here. Doing laundry will take up about half a day, so if you can bring enough clothes to not have to do laundry more than once a week, you'll get a lot more time in the hospital. So bring enough clothes. Definitely bring flip-flops. It is not customary here to go barefoot. So you need flip-flops, and you're going to want to take your shoes off at the end of the day. Bring flip-flops. Tips for volunteers as far as donations. It's impossible to know what supplies are going to be in demand when you get here. So probably the best thing to do if you've done fundraising is load up your credit card and wait till you get here and talk to the people in charge, and make your contributions that way. there's some basic things that you'll almost certainly need. Gloves for your own use. If you can bring 2 or 3 boxes of disposable gloves, that's going to help you out. Gauze is always helpful. Yeah. The weather. Tips regarding the weather. It's going to be hot and humid and perfect, so be prepared for heat. Flip-flops. So 4 things that volunteers should know. The first one, I wasn't expecting. Hondurans don't have pre-med programs the way that they do in US. And most staff and doctors are going to assume that you are actually a medical student. So it'll be up to you to sort of explain that nuance and to be really clear about what you can and can't do. So that's something you have to be prepared to do. The second thing, so the medical system has a lot of problems here. A lot of them are organizational, institutional, and governmental, because they're public entities. So you're not going to fix those. So that's an important thing to know. The third one, a lot of the doctors know English, and they won't necessarily just gratuitously speak English in the same way that people learning Spanish don't really want to talk Spanish. But yeah, just assume that everyone around you knows English and they're listening to you. And definitely ask them questions, and they will often answer you in English. So the fourth thing, pretty much everywhere in Honduras you don't flush paper, so just so that you don't have to ask, know that that's the case here. There's always a wastebasket there, and that's what it's for. Alright, so let's see. Overall, the program, the Broader View program in Honduras was really excellent. I've seen a lot these weeks. I've learned about medicine and humanitarianism, but I've also gotten a sense of the challenges of running a program like this, which is important to me because my career goal is to do international medicine, to travel around and to places where they need stuff, deliver services and supplies, and so the program has really made me think a lot about the challenge of developing these local contacts, gaining access to the medical institutions that already exist, and how maybe it's going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So that's been good. I would recommend this program in La Ceiba for any and all fluent Spanish-speaking pre-meds. It's a really amazing opportunity to get to clinical volunteer experience that's so critical for our applications, our med school applications. So moving on, I'm going to talk about the accommodations. They were really sweet. My hosts were very nice. There's no hot water, but the cold water is not very cold, so you'll be fine. Water gets shut off overnight, but it's not very difficult to work around that once you get used to the schedule. And we keep some water aside for overnight use if it's needed. So that all works out well. The neighborhood here is really nice, feels pretty safe. Probably still shouldn't walk around after dark by yourself. Food's great. Let's see, favorite memories. Favorite memory about the program is definitely observing my first and second and third childbirth. That's going to stick with me. Favorite thing about the country, all of the amazing people for sure. Met a ton of taxi drivers and cooks, and obviously all the patients that come through. Very fascinating stories. So as far as the support prior to traveling by A Broader View in the US, My trip was very, very last minute, and A Broader View did kind of an amazing job of getting my application through really quickly. They were very responsive to email, so that was impressive. The information was great, great way to get basic information, but the little chat feature is key. It's a great way to get questions answered quickly. I'm totally willing to speak to other A Broader View volunteers and answer questions. Email me, it's fine. How did I find out about A Broader View? Just found it on Google. Thank you.
Thank you.